Hey everyone, so I am finally back, and like I said, we will be discussing and analyzing one of my old-time favorite horror movies. And I know that there's a lot of controversy that's behind this movie, but other than that, I think it's a very good film. And hopefully, if it had nothing ties into it, it would have been a perfect movie. So the movie is called Jeepers Creepers. So now Jeepers Creepers was basically a film started in 2001 and it continued in 2003, if I'm not mistaken, or 2002, and then we had at least like a decade or more that we end up getting Jeepers Creepers 3. Now the way that the movie is set up, I am gonna go not in order. I will go in unlogical order, which will be Jeepers Creepers 1, Jeepers Creepers 3, and Jeepers Creepers 2 will be the last one I will cover. Now for the first Jeepers Creepers, that is the one I'm gonna be covering first, and I will be giving you an analyze and recap of the trailer, as well as what basically you should know about the movie. So Jeepers Creepers started off in 2001, like I said, and it is basically a very old popular film that you could put it right up there when it comes to horror movies, such as Jason, Freddy, or the other high anthological horror movies. Now Jeepers Creepers, the first one, basically start off like this. So I'm gonna show you guys a quick of the trailer and you guys could see.
I haven't seen a car in 50 miles.
You know what I just thought of, right?
Kenny and Darla.
You believe that story?
That they had to go looking for her head.
They only found the car.
They never found her head.
What's he doing?
The hell is that? He dumped something down that pipe.
Wrapped in a sheet. Is this your idea of a little adventure?
I'm just gonna look.
You know the part in scary movies where somebody does something really stupid and everybody hates them for it? This is it.
Every 23rd swing, for 23 days, it gets to eat. What the hell is that thing?
It's stuck in her furnace!
He must have 5, maybe 600 bodies down there.
It's got something it likes. One of you.
You think he's dead?
They never are.
Jeepers Creepers.
So the movie takes place right after a middle of nowhere with a brother and sister, which name Trish Jenner and Derry Jenner. Now I guess they were on their way back to like spring break or vacation with each other as siblings, and I guess they were heading to their parents' house after the vacation. Now they're basically on the road and just minding their own business and just fooling around, and suddenly they're passing by, and for some reason this truck, this like highway truck, it's like those big country roadside where when you're driving in the country and there's like nothing you would find suspicious, but only you and whoever that's in the car, and you just driving miles and miles, right? And something just glimpsed their eyes. This truck just started driving like, like somebody was in a hurry. And when they realized, this driver, it's like he's like rushing them to like hurry up so he could pass. And at first you don't see nobody that's like driving, because the window of the truck is like very, very dark. So even in the daylight you couldn't see who's really driving the car. So that's where it started getting more, you start realizing the suspense, something start building up about this thing or this character that will be introduced further on in the movie. Now, Trish basically I quoted what she said. She basically started yelling at the driver, saying that, what the heck is your problem, and then Derry was like, instead of just crashing into them, just go around him. And eventually, by force, this thing almost made them just hit, a barn or even a post sign. So they stopped their car, to not further injure themselves. And the thing just drove off, without really explaining or, showing any type of remorse of what just happened, So they stopped by, they managed to just use the restroom and fix things that's inside the car, and try to tie things so that way it could stay a bit tight. Now, as the movie prolongs and they get right back on the road, so they got back right on the road and they started seeing the same truck in the distance, but it's like at this abandoned type of, church. And inside, they just started slowing down on the car and just looking what was basically emerging out of the truck. And at the same time, whatever this man or this person was just dumping things at that old abandoned church. And Derry or Trish mentioned, like, did you just saw that this thing had like blood stains or some type of red stains on it? And Trish was like, I just saw that. And Derry was like, but it had red stain and representing as blood sheet. And immediately something started alarming their heads, like, we need to find our phone quick, let's find a way to call the cops. And all you saw is whatever that person was just started staring at them as they went by. And then by the time he finished putting the things back into the old church, the driver that was driving the truck went right back on the truck and started following them. And Derry basically said, maybe we should have took his car instead of having the car they had now. And whoever that was in the truck trying to spook them. Now, the fact that he didn't have time to do none of these things, they end up going right back to where the old church was to figure out what happened. And Trish was like, it's not a good idea to basically drive somewhere instead of anything else. So as the movie continues, they started figuring out when Derry basically goes into the cellar and he accidentally fell. So at first he didn't know if Trish thought he was unconscious at first, and then once he got up he realized that he was down to the basement of the church. And he just started looking around, found his shoes that was hanging there, and put that shoes back, and then he just heard someone faintly crying out for help. Eventually he met the person, but they were like in a body bag, and eventually he tried to, you know, open up the bag even more to figure out what's going on. And eventually he figured out that, you know, this person that was captured, not only has his body been sewn up together, but at the same time he's missing some parts of his body. That's why his body basically been tied up. Then Derry was so shocked at what he saw, as he started resuming himself backwards to get out the tunnel. He told Trish that, you know, whatever it takes right now, we got to get out of here, because there is some creepy stuff that's basically he's seeing. As he looked more and more around the basement, he realized that the basement is like a chamber or some sort of a sacrificial type of stuff. And as he started looking up in the ceilings, that's when the movie started taking even to more of a crazy turn. Behind the walls of the church and the ceilings, there are people covered in the entire wall, like a type of quilt made out of people's bodies and skin. The ceiling basically is slightly dripping, I guess it's off the people's bodies, and the people look so preserved, like tree trunks, but they're not, because you could still feel some moisture that's coming off the ceiling as it drips down to Derry's shoes. And then Derry just started looking around even more, so that like whoever this person was, they had a big idea of how to preserve or how to embalm in someone's body to a way that the person doesn't rot away, which started giving even more of the creeps. And how he started analyzing, you know, he needs to find a place where he could, you know, exit out the church, abandoned cellar, in order for him to get back to the surface. So the movie continues like this. So the movie continues as Derry finds his way to get out the actual basement cellar, and Trish was just sitting around before Derry got out. We cut back right to her. She was sitting in front of the car, and she accidentally saw a truck that looked very similar to the driver from before that was dumping bodies on the church cellar. She immediately hid herself right in the car, and then when she realized that it wasn't him, she got right back out the car. Now as the movie continues, we saw that Derry managed to get out, like I said, and scared his sister half to death. And he was so scared by the time he got in the car and they started driving back to find the nearest emergency, like somewhere they could at least call the cops. Derry just couldn't say one word as he stayed in the car. And while they were driving forward, the truck that was following them before is driving back to where they were, which creates even more anxiety and scare of whatever that they saw. The person that put them there kind of known, you know, it's very similar to like when somebody puts something in one position, and if you see the movement of whatever you put there moved, eventually you're gonna know someone or something has passed there. So as the movie prolongs itself, they reach to like a near diner, and they started speaking on the phone, trying to reach to somebody, and some weird phone call reached them, and the person immediately knew their names, and they just started asking them, like, you know, are you Trish and Derry? And Derry was like, yeah, so who are you? And she was like, well, so have you seen the cats yet? And it was kind of a little funny line, but you know, she is a psychic. Her name is Giselle, and she basically started telling them a bit of a lore about this mystery truck driver. So we started getting more and more in depth to the understanding that this thing or this person is no longer how we think a person should be. It's actually something completely different, but it actually personifies itself as a man just to either scare people, but at the same time it basically wants things out of people. And they started asking themselves, like, what type of things? So Giselle repeats that, you know, she's not sure if it's a demon or a devil, but whatever this thing is, it has a type of cycle that it has to go through in order for it to stay the way it is. So, but its hunger prefer human instead of anything else. It has type of human features. In order for it to replenish its body parts, it needs to consume people in order for it to basically regenerate its parts. So as she started explaining that, basically the mystery of this thing drove right where the diner is just to find out. Once it have a smell of you, it basically never stop until it finds you. So even as far as they went to the diner, way far away from where they were before, it still managed to find them, to hunt them down. So as Trish and Derry started listening to more about that, things started happening outside the diner. Someone or something has inspected inside their car, and they basically have a smell of where they see them. So eventually, once they reached the cops, and the cops came at the diner, and they started asking them, like, so what did you guys, you know, saw? And Derry was like, you know, whatever this guy or this person is has either killed so many people that it has all these people on the ceiling of the church, of the abandoned church, that he don't even have how many counts of people that's underneath there. But two people that stood out to him was two prom lovers that basically died, which, you know, I guess 40 years ago, but apparently their body was still in good condition, which is so bizarre after at least 40 years or so. And then he said he tried to touch one of the bodies, but the bodies were like so hard, but they were like petrifying wood. And he explained to him, like, they were so preserved that it seems like this person knew how to keep a body from not rotting away. So the cops at first started laughing, seeming like they didn't believe them or something. And then the next thing happened. So the creeper basically got to the point where he scratched on the door to get, I guess, a smell of their scent. And everybody that wasn't outside of that kind of saw what happened. And that's why they reached out to the cops and said that, you know, whatever this person was basically sniffing their clothes just to find more information about them. So Derry basically started getting more scared, you know, acting like, not only this thing knows my name, but at the same time he knows where we are. And he said, so basically this guy is after them. You know, he went back to the church, now he's back to the diner, because he knows that they saw something. So the cops basically followed Trish and Derry along just to accompany them back to where they saw the bodies and all. But apparently at the same time they're driving back, they heard on the intercom of the police car that the church basically got caught in fire. It's like the creeper or didn't want the evidence to be shown, so it basically is so intelligent that it's able to hide its scent and its trace if it needs to. So that at first we thought that it was just a random person, but it goes to show not only this person can it be a serial killer or someone, but it goes to show that whatever that thing is had a way of intelligence, that it understands how to interact and track itself to a way where it cannot be traced. It doesn't really hunt where it needs to be hunt unless if it wants to be seen when it's not hunting, right? So as it prolongs, the creeper managed to caught up to them, and they literally, the psychic, the way she predicted everything kind of started happening back to back. So they basically stopped at this car where the cops basically, one of their heads got chopped off, and the creeper basically stood there. And so the creeper basically scaring them as he takes one of the cops' head and basically start pulling the tongue out from the head. As he start applying that and doing it, Trish and Derry basically just stood there out of just sheer fright, and even the car just started having problems at the same time. And you know, at first Trish basically started getting mad. She said, so we're gonna try our best to just run him over and just go right to the police station. Now as the creeper finished doing that, they started driving away, but the creeper basically threw the body and the police head back in the truck of his just to scare them. And now they're close to like this house. Near the house they saw this lady, this cat lady that Giselle mentioned when she called earlier before. It's like everything that she spoke of started adding up. So basically the cat lady basically said, you know, what are you guys doing on my property? You know, her babies don't like strangers, and apparently she doesn't live with nobody else but her cats. So she has so many different cats that Derry started asking to make a joke. He said, how many babies did you have? She said, about a couple, or 50 or so. And Trish was like, yeah, we just gotta get out of here. And then as they trying to leave, the creeper caught up to them, and he's just standing there in the cornfield of the property of the cat lady and just staring at them. Like, another thing I wanted to say is, when the creeper shows up, it doesn't matter where, it feels as if he has the power of it's like a cool chill, or like this type of energy he brings where everything just slows down, even like wind, and like if you have like animals nearby, everything just started getting out of control and then just comes to like a standstill. And the creeper just, the thing is just staring right back at them, and they haven't even revealed what this thing looks like. And the lady just went back inside to get her gun, and she basically said, you know, you got a couple of seconds or even 10 seconds to get yourself out of my property in a way. And basically, while this is happening, we saw she shoot. The creeper jumped so high that when he slammed himself right inside the house of the cat lady. And then all we heard was gunshots after gunshots, and then it's just, there was a silence. As she opens the door, we saw that the creeper basically stands right behind the cat lady just holding the gun inside of her chest as he leaves out the front door. And the reveal finally happens. And the reveal is here. We see the face of the creeper for the first time, and let me tell you, it is not a pretty sight. It has this old decaying type of skin, and his teeth is like very sharpened. Like at first you thinking, is this even something real you're staring at? As it pursued to just threw the lady to the side and just kind of like smirk a little bit, just to even scare them even more. Like it looks very, very old, but it has like these little horn things protruding out, which cover itself like a, almost like he has like small dreads, but it's not. It's actually the horns that looks like that. And Trish and Derry just ran out right in their car, and the creeper basically started walking right after them, and it's like he was walking very fast. So by the time they got in the car, the creeper is just standing in their way on the road. The creeper basically, either he could just sense you or smell you only, because that's the only time he's able to track them down. It kind of looked like he had like kind of like cataract in his eyes, or like very blindness, so I guess he couldn't see. Basically as they're staying at the creeper, like I said, Trish began to like crank on the car, because I guess the car is like a clutch. She basically to pursue on driving forward with the car just by hitting the creeper. Now each time they trying to get forward to hit the creeper has extremely high speed and strength, so he basically jumped very high and just walked on the car, and then basically landed right behind the car. And then they just stared back to see what happened, and the creeper just kept doing it over and over. Now eventually when they hit him again, on the face and top of the car basically got very, it's like the creeper is very heavy, so the car basically started having a dent, and parts of the car had like the windshield in the back got blown out. But and then the creeper continues and he falls on the ground, and then you just feel all these weapons. Basically the creeper has like weapons as well, so we learned that not only he's a hunter type of thing, but he also has weapons that so he doesn't come unprepared when he goes hunting or whatever he's be searching for. He fell on the ground. I guess he was slightly unconscious, and Trish was like, we're gonna roll over him one more time, because Derry basically thought that the creeper died, but Trish was like, don't be fooled, you know, these things never, you know, they never are dead. A killer is never dead until you see them lose their last breath. So she just kept taking the car, going back and forth from the creeper. So Derry was like, you know, that's enough for the last time. But as they're staring on the floor, we see that the creeper body has like these type of dust and soot that's coming out his body. One of his feet basically got so badly injured that it basically ripped off from the boots that he was wearing. This old nasty type of jacket he had on, and you just see these old dusty things that's coming out the creeper. Now we get to see a little bit behind the head of the creeper. It basically has this opening, so it basically has like this opening behind his head where the hair of his follicles comes out of, and basically that's what covers the head of the creeper. It's like a what's that type of lizard? It's like a symbiotic type of lizard. The lizard where its head opens up like a flower is very similar to that. but it connects into the back of the head of the creeper, which connects to the front of the creeper's head. So as they started staring more at the creeper while he's like on the floor, and they thought, they accomplished something, something started moving out the creeper's body, and they just kept staring. And as the more we started staring, we realized a gigantic wing just came out of the creeper's back, like encasing himself trying to fly. But they were too shook to even move around, because the creeper now showed itself. Not only he's not human, he also has wings, and that just turns everything on its head. Like, at first we know that he drives, and we know that he walks very fast, and he can't be killed by ordinary things, but now he has wings underneath the jacket or coat that he has. So that was even more frightening. So not only this thing or this man is killing people, but it's not even a man at all. It's something hiding itself as a man just to scare people, even when they're on the road. But whatever that people figured out about him, he will hunt you down wherever you are around the world. As long as he has a smell or a scent of you, he will know exactly where you are. No matter how hard you try to hide your scent, he's gonna find it. Once he gets the scent, there's no way of taking that away. So as Trish and Day drove and head to the headquarters of the police station, they trying to find a place to basically hide. And then we finally meet Giselle, the lady that they spoke on the phone. She's also the county's psychic, so she kind of helps around with the investigations of other missing people. So as we started going like more, if you look in the background of the actual police station, we saw that there was a lot of people that were missing in the county. So it seems like this never happened once, but it happens, but it's like they rarely mentioned it at all. So as they started looking more into the pictures, they started saying, like, Trish and Day was like, yeah, those are some of the people we saw, especially in the basement, similarly, because they say they had a car crash a couple of years ago, and some of the people they found, like even their heads, that the creeper basically sewed their heads back onto their own bodies just to preserve them. So Trish basically started looking at Giselle, and Giselle was like, so I don't want to tell you what it is, but just know that it needs eyes, it needs hearts, and it needs whatever that it needs out of the human body just for it to survive. So they just started thinking that it's just bullcrap, and then Giselle just made them sit down and just tell them, like, listen, this is no type of hoax, but you should know that I'm telling you the truth. Why you think I came all the way to just tell you this? So Derry started getting upset, telling Giselle that, so you basically know what it wants from other people. You just came here to just confirm what you have dreamed of. Is it true? So as it started happening, they started hearing things happening inside the facility of the police station. And apparently the creeper basically got into the police station. So it went to the county jail, and I guess it started looking for parts to replace. So as she started explaining that, the creeper is on the move on trying to replace its parts. So as one of the cops started looking at the jailmates that's in this the jail, he just started hearing something just shaking, and when he got closer and started using the flashlight to shine it to see what's going on, he see this thing with the back of like this type of animal type bat, and just started shaking itself as it's ripping some of the inmate legs and hands to replenish its own. And as he kept firing, we just saw that the creeper basically, either from eating whatever he was swallowing, grew the hand that he broke and basically started gaining more of his strength back from what he have lost. And as the movie continues, the cops started firing everywhere, but the creeper basically started gang attacking the creeper, but the creeper was not even phased. He's so strong that he could start pushing people to the side. He started grabbing people left and right, pushing them, and at least got one of the policemen. He took one of his hearts out. I guess he swallowed it as he started going up the upper staircase of the police floor stations. And while that is happening, Giselle basically was like, it's better to take you guys to the other back part of the police station. So at first they thought that they were going to be safe, you know, if they leave out the back port of the police station, but they end up going to a part where it's like no exit, and the only place that goes up, I guess, is a investigation room. So they went into the investigation room, and as Giselle basically said, you know, it's probably the creeper is mad, and on top of that is looking for one of you guys, and he probably ate too many hearts. So I guess it needs eyes and lungs to also function. So we start getting to see that the only reason why this thing is taking people out is either to replenish his parts and to go on his feeding cycle. So Giselle also mentioned that we started getting more of a lore of the creeper, where this thing only resurfaces every 23 years for 23 days, and it's gonna have to go to that feeding cycle for those 23 days in order to either replenish his body and to like hibernate right after those 23 days until the next 23 years cycle starts. So the creeper has a time limit, but within the time limit he could do a lot of damage by the time the time limit is over. So as she's explaining that, we see that the creeper is coming up the part of the upper floors, and Giselle told them to run and go upstairs to the part where the investigation room is. So as they lock the door and think that, you know, nothing was gonna happen, so they could stay quiet, and they trying to, you know, keep themselves silent, the creeper hide himself right behind Giselle just to sniff her to see if it's her that went into the old church cellar. So after he's smelling Giselle, he realized that she's not the one that he needed. So he just pushed her to the side and gradually went its way up to the investigation room. So as Trish and Derry started fighting in the investigation room, the creeper behind the investigation just started smelling the glass mirror that separates them. And as they started making more noise, the creeper just busts himself right in the glass to emerge on the other side of where Trish and Derry is. So as the movie started getting into its final moment stage, the creeper started smelling Derry and as well as Trish, but he started smelling Derry even more, even twice, and he just opened up his eyes even more on Derry, knowing that he was the main person that went into the cellar first. So as the creeper started smelling Trish and Derry, the creeper finally made a decision. He pushed away Trish and started smelling Derry even more. And as Derry struggles to breathe, the police squad basically managed to come up the stairway and caught up to them. Now the police, one of the chief police leaders, he just started praying and started asking in heaven's name, what the hell is that? The creeper yelled out a screech scream like a pig mixed with other animals, and by holding Derry, the creeper just started showing some of his true colors. So his face started opening up like a flower, and eventually the creeper emerged and showed his true face and all his glory. The creeper showed not only his body but also his wings that he protrude out of his body. He basically started yelling very hard, and not only that, they almost tried to shoot him, but everybody was just in shock of what they were looking at. The creeper was staring at Trish with that menacing look, and Trish started asking him, like, he kind of showed that he understand. Trish wanted her to be taken instead of Derry, but the creeper basically made his decision. Like, the fact that Derry is the one that went into the church cellar, he wanted to take Derry first, not only because of the human parts that he needs, but I guess based on what you have seen from him, that's what he would take. So in that instant, the creeper ended up wanting Derry instead of Trish, and he flew away with Derry at the last minute of the film. And then we get to see at the end of the movie, the creeper end up having Derry's eyes instead of anything else, killing Derry in the process. And then Trish ended up crying and flying away and started running after the creeper, and the creeper just flew off on the opposite side of the while she was looking in the sky. And Giselle started saying that, you know, it's sad that she couldn't do anything else about it. And then Trish was like, let me just ask you this, you know, are your dreams ever wrong? She said there's nothing she could have done that could have, you know, escaped that fate that Derry is dealing with. So at the end, we basically see that the creeper is playing his music, and at the end we see that he has a new place with like pipes and stuff like that, and he just started playing music. So we start understanding that this thing not only like human culture, but he loves feeding on us too. And it's like he's celebrating that he got what he wanted at the end of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, it gave us a panel shot of Derry bruised, and both of his eyes is missing. So there's a big hole that's behind his head, and the creeper basically got to him and got his eyes. And that concludes the first part of Jeepers Creepers, the first movie. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I can't wait to see for part 2.